Well, hello, and welcome to the PGH Writing Command Center for another podcast episode from God Bless the Cake Publishing, LLC. Woohoo! And I am Paul John Hausleben of God Bless the Cake Publishing, LLC. I am the flagship author, chief photographer, music reviewer, music critic, do-everything guy here at God Bless the Cake Publishing, LLC, with a little help from my friends, and the old friends of Rooskies are here today. Despite it being a holiday, we're lined up outside the PGH Writing Command Center door early today. And I am recording this very early on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And as we often do on holidays, we record a special holiday podcast episode. And they were all lined up outside. I think they think I have extra beer and snacks here. Is that true, friends? Well, you're going to be a little disappointed because Paulie was very busy yesterday. Very, very busy. And I did not get to the supermarket. So how shall we say, the cupboard is bare. I finished the winter collection. It's a collection of short stories that I started back in January. And as I often do, I finished most of the majority of it during a heat wave. I can't figure this stuff out, but it seems like some of the stories I've written over the years, comes to mind is Flying, a story about true heroes. I wrote that in the middle of a terrible, terrible heat wave. And I've written some Christmas stories during the summer and heat waves, so I'm not quite sure why that is, but it's just the way it is. But hey, the winter collection is done, and now we're doing a little scrub on it. We started a little scrub-a-rooski on it yesterday, so we're very happy about that. I'm not sure of the release date. I think I should release it in August or something because it's the winter collection at any rate. But if you're a first-time tuner-inner, then welcome. If you're a long-time listener or a subscriber or a follower of the podcast or of Paulie, then welcome back. And we're just thrilled you're here to join us for this podcast episode. And as I said, this is Father's Day. We're recording this very early in the morning on Father's Day. And before we get going too deep here, let's rattle some pages here in the background and get your little Orphan Annie decoder pins out. Speaking of Christmas, and this podcast is proudly sponsored by Corporate Facilities Group Incorporated, the leader in technical consulting, facilities maintenance, facilities management and operations, as well as property maintenance and management services throughout America. And now, CFG Incorporated is proud to announce a new department, a new initiative headed up by the amazing Mr. Steve McMillan. Woohoo! Yeah, let's give it up for old Steve Aruski. And Steve brings his many years of experience as he manages pre-construction services and estimating for residential development, residential renovations, and light commercial projects for CFG Incorporated. So before you spend big bucks on a project, let old Steve Aruski check out the contractor scope and price to make sure your hard-earned money is going in exactly the right place. Check them out on the web at www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. That's www.corporatefacilitiesgroup1.com. And many thanks to Lydia, Steve, and Liliana, Summer the dog, and Smokey the kitty cat at CFG for sponsoring the podcast down there in beautiful Marietta, Georgia. And happy Father's Day to old Steve Aruski out there. He's a great guy, yeah. Woo! And I did speak to a customer of CFG just last week. Steve did a project for them, and they were singing his praises, singing Steve's praises. So that's fantastic stuff. Love to hear that. And if you have a special event, a charity, a goodwill function that you would like Paulie to mention on the podcast, please email it to godblessthecakpublishing@gmail.com. That is godblessthecakpublishing@gmail.com. And if you have any comments, suggestions for the rated music series or rating something else, then that's the email address to use too. So we look forward to your comments, your suggestions, people telling me I'm crazy. People telling me I'm doing great. People telling me I'm a bum. And just email it ahead, and we try to read all of them. I did receive a couple of suggestions for the rated series, but have not gotten to that music yet. And also did receive a couple charity announcements for some functions for last week for the Juneteenth holiday, but I did not receive that in time. Remember, this is a weekly podcast, so you want to time your emails correctly to give Paulie enough time to prepare them and vet them and check them out. So thank you very much. We really appreciate the support and anything that comes into the email. It's a big thrill to open up the old email box. And anybody that just stops and talks to Paulie, that knows him and listens to the podcast, I really value all the feedback. And this is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. And we try to do these special holiday episode podcasts and just talk about the holiday or maybe tell some stories. Yeah, Paulie, tell some more stories. yeah. But I had a few pints this past week at the local pub here, and a good friend of mine tagged along, and we sat for quite a long time. It's World Cup, so we were enjoying some matches on the big screen there. And I think we were watching, what was it, Canada and Qatar. It was a terrible injury in that match. Hope the fellow's okay. And we talked about a lot of subjects, and the fella asked me, how do you find a time to do all the things you do? And, I'm a pretty busy guy. And with it being Father's Day, I thought of so many things that my old man taught me. And one of the things that he always was an advocate for is hard work and dedication to the cause and stick to the mission. I can hear all his words all the time, those lessons. And in this modern day of business, I hear so often from young people the complaint that no matter how hard you work these days, that it really doesn't contribute to your success. And I wonder about the lessons that my father taught me. And one of the major ones was you go to work and you work hard. And I'll tell a story about that. And you'll have success. Don't be lazy. Don't be a goof off. Have respect for the boss. Have respect for your coworkers. Go to work early. Come back late. Work hard. Do the best you can. All those lessons, all those phrases, all those words. And nowadays, young people tell me all the time that it doesn't much matter. And that makes me sad. And we lost the old man in 2016, but I can think back in my mind on those lessons he taught me. And I wonder if that's true in the world of white collar business. I don't know that it's actually true in the world of the trades, the world that I grew up in, the world that the old man grew up in. And he was not a fan of Father's Day. My father was not a fan of Father's Day, and to be honest with you, it's not a big deal to me either. Maybe I get that from my dad, but he always used to say one of his greatest quotes is, "They mistreat the old man 364 days a year and try to be nice to him one day." So he was not a big fan of Father's Day, but I think nowadays, even in the trades, that if you work hard, you show up, you just show up on time, put a good day's work in, try to do quality work, show the supervisors and bosses that you're a valuable asset for the company, I still think that hard work's going to give you success. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, I don't know. But I hear this so often from so many people. And the world has changed so much in my time. And now that I have less windshield time in my primary source of income, and most of it's in the rear view mirror, I look back on all the things that my father taught me and all the things he instilled in me. And I think I did a little research on Father's Day because I thought it was just an American thing, to be honest with you. But no, it's celebrated throughout the world, different times. And a lot of them celebrate it on the third Sunday in June, a lot of countries. But it is a day set aside to celebrate fathers. And for me, the life lessons of the old man, certainly I loved the old man, not just for his life lessons, but because he's my dad. All the things that he taught me are so valuable every single day. Every single day of my life, I think of my father. Every single day of my life, I think of the things he taught me. Not only about work, but about being a man and about sports. He was a huge New York Yankees baseball fan. It was his primary love. Baseball was his primary sport, but he loved the New York Jets too. Passed that curse down to me to be a Jets fan. Yeah, and I still love you, Dad. And football. And he tried to like hockey because he knew it was my love, and he helped me as much as he could. He didn't understand everything about the sport, but he tried to learn. And he was always sad that I didn't pursue baseball. But to get back to the question that my friend posed to me at the pub, how do I find a time to do this? And I think as a very young man, a teenager, I went through this period of time where I didn't want to do things out of what was like my ordinary things, my schoolwork, my little part-time job I had. And I delivered newspapers and did some other things for money and hang around with my friends. And my father was a great observer of human behavior. He had the best bull hockey radar detector I ever saw. He knew when somebody was fudging something from a mile away. He was just that street smart guy from Paterson, New Jersey. And I went through this period of time where I wouldn't venture into doing new things. I was kind of stuck in a rut, so to speak. And my father would sense that because he would make suggestions. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Why don't you do that? No. I'm not going to just stick to my schoolwork. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. You got to try out for the football team this year? No, I'm not going to do that. You got to do that. And whatever I was going through, you could ask that pretty girl out for a date. No. I didn't want to venture into waters. And it might have just been a rut I was going through. And so I was playing at what would be considered a step above Little League Baseball at the time, Pony League Baseball. And it was organized by the local Police Athletic League, the Haledon Borough, where we lived, Police Athletic League. I was 15, 16 years old, whatever. And something happened at the game where the umpire didn't show up. And my old man always tried to he worked so many hours and worked so hard, 2-3 jobs to keep us going. But he always tried to make most of my baseball games. He couldn't make them all, but he tried his best to make most of them because, like I said, he loved baseball. And this particular game, something happened. It was an umpire snafu. So they asked my old man, knowing he was such a great baseball person and knew the sport so well, would he ump? And at that time in that league, the umpire, it was only one ump. He did the bases and called balls and strikes too. And the old man said, yeah, sure. And he stood behind the pitcher and called it a ball or called it a strike. And the old man was certainly competent, being an expert on baseball and being the character he was, he put on quite a show out there too. Yeah, strike, you're out. He put some emphasis into it and was doing a great job. So it came my time to get up at bat. And the pitcher I was facing was a guy I hit pretty well. The old man, of course, my father, is the ump. So, you kind of think maybe you have an advantage. But I knew my old man. And despite knowing him and knowing he wouldn't give me a break on anything, especially something in baseball, you think I'd have been smarter. I wasn't. And One of my old man's sayings was, we stay stupid too long and get smart too late. And boy, is that true. So I'm up at bat, I'm up at bat, and the first pitch comes in, and it was a little outside, and I didn't swing, and the old man, strike one. Well, I kind of looked at him, stepped out, and then got back in. Next pitch was, I thought, a little high. Strike two. Third pitch comes in, was definitely too low. It was down below my knees, between my ankles and my knees. Strike three, you're out, batter. And the old man called me out on 3 strikes. He called me out on 3 strikes. Well, the next time I got up at bat later on in the ball game, I learned my lesson. I swung at the first pitch and rocketed it over the third baseman for a double. And I got up another time, and I think I grounded out. But I swung at the first pitch that was close. And when I got home that night, the old man was waiting for me, as he usually was. He left the ball field a little early. I walked back with my buddies, Harry and Jeff and everybody on my team. Walked back home, carrying our baseball bats with the baseball glove over the top of it, right? That classic stuff. And as it often was in my life, especially later on when I played hockey and was palling around and doing dumb things and out with young ladies and cruising around when I got older, the old man was always waiting up for us, my sister too. And he was sitting at the kitchen table having a beer, And I come walking in with my baseball glove and bat, put in the back hallway, and then come in, and he says, "Sit down, Paulie." Then I sat down there. He says, "How do you feel about me calling you out on those 3 strikes?" I was like, "Wow, they were balls, Dad." And he smiled, took a sip of the beer, and he says, "They were. They absolutely were balls. They were not strikes. But you know something? They were close enough that you should have swung, because you keep waiting around lately for this perfect stuff to happen. You want the perfect girl to date. You want the perfect car. You want the perfect job. You want the perfect boss. And you want the perfect lesson in school and the perfect teacher. I keep hearing you say, the Miss such and such is unfair, and this test and that test, it's unfair. If you're searching for the perfect thing, you ain't going to find it. If something's close, you got to go for it. Just do it, Paulie. You're a talented guy. Stop holding yourself back looking for all these perfect things." And I thought about it, and I was like, yeah, I get it, Dad. I should have swung at the pitches because they were close enough. He says, "Yeah, and you swung at a ball the second time at bat, and you hit it a double. You didn't wait for the perfect pitch. It was close. It was up in your wheelhouse, and you gave it a rocket. That was a lesson. I was holding back. I wasn't just going for it." So to answer my friend's question at the pub, I thought about this story, and I thought about Father's Day. And one of the things my father taught me was that there's no perfect things in life. And if you sit around waiting for that perfect pitch, the perfect strike, you're going to wait around a long time. Just go for it. So when people ask me, "Paulie, you work your primary source of income, you write your books, you do your photography." I just did a photo shoot earlier today or yesterday, because it's yesterday now, because it's so early in the morning here. But, the books, the writing, the podcast, the ham radio, the all the other things I do. I guess it's because the old man told me, just go for it. Just do it. I don't wait around for the perfect subject for a podcast. I don't wait around for the perfect scene to take a picture. I just go out there and I snap 50 shots, and if 40 of them stink, then 40 of them stink. If 10 of them are okay, then that's fine. If one of them is exceptional and makes the cut, then the whole photo shoot was worth it. You can't wait around. You just got to go for it sometimes. There's no perfect job. There's no perfect boss. There's no perfect scenario. Just go for it. And be happy when you do. So many people keep searching for things, and they keep searching, and that's fine. But be happy in your heart for what you have, and strive to do better and strive to find things that are different. But just do it. I should have taken that bat off the shoulder and just taken a cut. those pitches. They were close enough. And the second time at bat, I did that. So that was just a simple lesson came in my mind as a result of the conversation I had at the pub. And then I received a nice text conversation, banter back and forth with an old friend who listened to the 40 favorite characters of the adventures of Harry and Paul, which was our previous podcast that a reader, a listener sent in and was fantastic. And I enjoyed that so much. And my buddy in the text conversation, he was like, I love that podcast, Paulie. That was so wonderful, because how do you feel about immortalizing forever the characters of the old neighborhood? And this person knows me well enough and grew up with me and knows the old neighborhood enough to know that those characters have a lot of nonfiction embedded in them. And in fact, he's one of the characters. I had a different name, and I'm not going to tell you who it is. But and I said, yeah, it is wonderful. He said, yeah, Paulie, I would have put the old man at number one. He says, as much as I love Harry, much as I love the character of Paul and Dear Mom and all the other ones, I'd have put the old man at number one. He said, because, I knew your dad, and I think of all the characters, you captured your father the best. He's certainly nonfiction, because the way you wrote him and the way you portray him is just the regular New Jersey street guy with the brilliant smarts that your father really was. And I thought about that conversation, and it does give me a great amount of pride. And everybody who talks about the character of the old man, my father, and he preferred to be called the old man. He loved that. That's what he would call himself. Everybody seems to know a guy like the old man. They have an uncle or a neighbor or somebody. I remember the great Callie Rose, and she used to watch that show, the 70s show. She loved that show. And the character of Red, I guess, was the father figure in the show. And she said, I always think the old man and Red were very interchangeable. I've only seen very small clips of the show, so I can't comment. But I think the point is almost everybody can relate to the old man. They know somebody who was like him, the no-nonsense guy who did have a great sense of humor, but was just a guy without a lot of diplomas on the wall, without a lot of degrees, without some kind of shining stars on his resume, but was utterly brilliant in life and could pass along life lessons all the time through experience. Don't sit around waiting for the perfect pitch. Just swing at it, see what happens. Ask that pretty girl out on a date. And I did the next week. She didn't go out with me. I struck out on that one. But the point is, all these life lessons, I think we all know people that we can relate to who are similar to the character of the old man. And Father's Day, despite my father's disdain for it, I have to think that now, all these years later, me writing these stories, me talking about him, telling famous old man stories because he was such a character, bring him honor. He will live forever. And yes, so to answer my friend's question on that, yeah, that does give me some pride, and it gives me a purpose because I just went for it. I decided to write, and I decided to do this stuff. And like I mentioned in the last podcast, I think I write about the things of the past and the people of the past, so I don't ever forget. And I think that brings me great joy. And it's really a simple thing. Yeah, I got all this fancy software, and I have all this investment in microphones and cans on my head and soundboards and all this stuff. But really just sitting behind this microphone and telling stories and talking about stuff. When we have the great Jeff, the musical wizard, or Frankie T, or somebody else comes on the podcast, we have this banter back and forth. But it's really quite simple, right? I'm just telling stories. I'm telling memories. And that's what I deal in. And I think the character of the old man, be him a leader in the old neighborhood, just brings everything together. And I think that's what my father did. And I think that's what fathers do. They do their best to bring everything together, to hold it down every day. The true heroes, the guys who get up, slug it out every day for their family, get a paycheck, come home, the daily grind, give guidance, give love, give compassion, tough love when needed, discipline when needed, old-time values. And there's nothing wrong with old-time values. And those are the things that I think were the most valuable things that my father passed to me. Yeah, sure, love and the New York Jets thing, I got to rethink, but life lessons and values, there's nothing wrong with those. And my dad specialized in that. But he had a great sense of humor too. You know, he was tough. He was hard-nosed, but he had a great sense of humor too. He loved pizza. And memories of my father are always about certain kinds of food. Because my dear mom being English, sometimes she would whip up those English dishes, you know, be it for Gramps or my Uncle Jack or whoever came over that wanted to have some English cuisine. And the old man was not a fan. Tripe and cabbage didn't make the cut. And I remember him coming home and he could smell it, you know, and it didn't smell too swift. And Dottie and I were like, oh no, tripe, you know, we're hiding in our bedrooms. The old man comes home from work, and Uncle Jack was my mom's brother and his family, and everybody's over there waiting around the kitchen table for the blessed English dish of tripe and cabbage. The old man comes home from work and he looks in the pot and he's like, I'm going to take the kids for pizza. And my mother understood. And Dottie and I cheered for joy because we get to go with the old man for pizza. And pizza was, we would go to E&V over in Patterson on Chamberlain Ave. Or it used to be in Patterson, then it moved over to Little Falls, Sunray Pizza. Square pizza. It was a square pizza, Sunray pizza. And so we would get our pizza. And later on, we'd go to, oh my gosh, Big Jim's Pizza in Haledon. But the old man loved his pizza. When he retired and moved out of the city in the borough, he moved, my mom and him moved way up in Sussex County, New Jersey, in the middle of nowhere. This place, it was a little quaint town, Hamburg. And they had a detached townhouse up there for years. And the old man, you know, one of the first things he would do is stake out pizza joints. And there was a place down in the center of the little town there, had an old Italian guy there, and the old man would go there. And when I would stop to visit, it was always a highlight. Those were my traveling years. And if I could swing by and stop and see my parents, I would. So, and of course, we got to have pizza and we got to have beer. So we go down to this pizza joint in Hamburg. I think it was called Pat's Pizza, Patrick's Patties, something like that. And the old man would say, it's not bad, Paulie. It ain't Patterson pizza, but it ain't bad. So we go down there and we get it called in the pie, and the old man walks in. He says, yeah, pizza for Hausleben. It was half pepperoni, half cheese. And there's an old guy behind the counter there, you know, an old New Jersey guy. And it's all hot and sweaty. It's 100 degrees in the pizza shop. They got fans because the air conditioning can't keep up with it, you know. And the guy comes out and he takes that wooden scooper guy, you know, and he throws the pizza in front of you in the pizza box, and he's like ready to cut it. He cut it right in front of you. And the old man says, wait a minute. He says, you put the pepperoni on the wrong side. And the old guy looks at the old man. I guess he had seen this trick 1,000 times before. And of course, he just turns the pizza around 180 degrees in the box and then looks at my father. And my father's like, yeah, there you go. He sliced it up and we took it. So he had a great sense of humor. And despite him being a tough guy, I always coveted those moments when he would display that great sense of humor that he had. So, and I guess I could probably tell old man stories all day long, just like I could tell Harry and Paul stories and all the other stories all day long. But one of my favorite old man stories comes from that same era of when they lived up there in Sussex. And I think the old man got a little lonely at times up there. I think my mother did too. There wasn't a lot to do there, and it was kind of a long drive to Patterson, but they would go down, visit Aunt Ada and Uncle Dave, and stomp around the old neighborhood and go to restaurants in the old neighborhood and things like that. But there was one restaurant in the Sussex area that the old man really loved, and it was called the George Inn. And it was an old place. I think at one time it might have been maybe a boarding house or a small hotel for railroad workers or something up there, and it was big. I remember it being a very big building, and the dining hall was huge. I think it's still there. I'm not sure if it's still there or not, but the old man loved the joint, and it had two bars. I remember it had two bars, and I guess they did banquets there or they did parties or something, but there were two bars. And one would be what I call an old man's bar. You know, all the guys with bad comb overs would sit around, watch the ball game and talk and have a couple beers every day or whatever. And the old man enjoyed that joint. And when I stopped by for one of my visits, the old man would always say, we're going to go to the George. And we're going to have a couple beers. We'll watch the Yankee game or whatever. And he didn't get to see me so often, so it was a big event. And, of course, I'd meet with my mother, and I'd try to stay for 2 or 3 days as much as my schedule would allow. Extra bedroom in the house and sleep over. But we always made a point of going over to the George Inn. And it was summertime. There was a Yankee game on. I think it was a Saturday or something. So we go over to the George Inn. And we're watching the game, having a few beers. And the old man, I kept myself to, 1 or 2 beers. The old man was having quite a few beers. He was having a good time. And the Yankee game got over. He looks at me. He says, Paulie, he always got Jeeps. He had a Jeep Liberty. And he says, I think it's time for a new Jeep. I said, oh, okay. Really? He's like, yeah. He says, you drive. Well, I was going to drive anyway, but so he throws me the keys and we go out. And he says, let's go down to the Sussex Jeep down here, which was a few miles up the road. Not close, maybe 10 miles, I don't know. And we rode up there, and it was still open. It was getting kind of late on a Saturday afternoon. And the old man pulls in with his Jeep. And he was very proud of the fact that later in his life, he could finally afford to buy new vehicles. Because we grew up so poor and everything was so difficult. And then later in his life, he worked hard. He got promoted to being a general foreman in the shop. And then he moved on to Curtiss Wright Aircraft and became like a purchasing expert and all these things he did. And he earned a good salary. So at his retirement, he always tried to buy a new vehicle. And he loved Jeeps, the sponsor of the New York Yankees, right? I think. At any rate, he would buy these Jeeps. And he would only keep them for a year or two. And he didn't put a lot of miles on them, and it gave him something to do in retirement. He'd almost wax the paint off of these vehicles. So we tool on up to the Sussex Jeep, and the Jeep he had at that time was like a brown color, of like a metallic chocolate brown or something. And he says, I want a red Jeep. The old man always loved the color red. He loved blue too, but in a vehicle he liked red. So he says, let's look for a red. So we're looking around on the lot, and there was a beautiful red one there. Top of the line Jeep, I think it was called the Liberty Body, and it had all the options, and it had sunroof, it had all this stuff. And the old man says, I like this one. So out comes this sales guy. They watch the lot, and they spot us out there. And the old man's a little wobbly from all those beers, and he's like, I like this one. And the young salesman comes out. My old man turns to him, and he says, I want to buy this Jeep. I was like, oh, no. I was like, this is unbelievable. I was like, Dad, don't you want to go home, talk to Mom about? Nah, stop. I want to buy this Jeep. I like this color. I like all this stuff. And the old man points. He says, I'm going to trade that one in there. I bought that one from you about 2 years ago. And the young fella says, well, hey, yeah, come on in here. We can write this thing up. I was like, oh, my goodness, poor Mom. So we went for beers to watch the Yankee game. And so we wander into the sales dealership, and it was kind of crowded late in the afternoon on a Saturday. It surprised me. And we sit down at the desk, and the young fella's like, well, we'll have to get an appraisal on your Jeep and all that, but the appraiser's not here, but I can write this all up. We could do this thing on Monday if you want to give me a deposit or you want to talk about financing. And the old man says, there ain't no financing, young guy. He says, I'm paying cash. You take that Jeep, you tell me how much, and the balance of, I'm going to take it and take that red guy and pay in cash. So now the young fella's licking his chops, you see, and I'm I'm trying to be the typical old lady I am, and I'm leaning. I was like, Dad, don't you think we should call Ma? She's gonna be wondering where we are now. The Yankee game. Stop. So the young guy starts going through this thing. He says, the Chrysler Corporation, the Jeep Corporation, they have these things going on. They have, are you a veteran? Yeah, I'm a veteran, United States Army. He said, we could get the veteran discount. Are you this? Are you that? You're over 65. And you get these discounts. And then the ultimate discount comes because I noticed on the sales floor, there was this basketball court thing. I shouldn't say a court. I should say a basketball goal. And it was very similar to the things you see in the carnivals, at the fairs, down the shore on the boardwalk. It was one of those small, tiny little hoops with the non-regulation basketball thing. That and the rim is so bouncy, it's like impossible to put the ball through the hoop, that type thing. And he says, and we have this fantastic giveaway where you get $200 off if you can sink the basket. And I think he could smell the beer. I think the young guy could smell all the beer, and he probably figures, this guy's half in a bag. He ain't ever going to hit a basket. So I was like, so I said, we shoot the ball through the hoop there and we get the $200 off. And the young guy's like, yeah, it's a special event. This is with the Sussex Jeep guys. It's not with the Chrysler guys. So the old man says, give me that basketball thing. So I said, Dad, let me take the shot. I probably figured he's, had so many beers, he might not be able to see the hoop. And he says, nah, you're a hockey player. You always stunk at basketball. So he takes the little ball, goes walking out there, and he's wiggling his backside, and he's adjusting, and he's getting his angle, and he's pumping his arms, and he's got this little miniature basketball thing there, and he's sizing it up. And now everybody in the dealership, the shoppers, the other salespeople, everybody's watching, and people are like, yeah, sink it, put it in the hoop, go for it. And the old man lines it up, and he throws the ball up with his right arm, and it goes right through the hoop. It's an absolutely perfect swish right through the hoop. And the old man just kind of claps his hands. He's like, yeah, I knew I could do that. And he wanders back to and the salesman's like, nobody ever gets the ball in. And the old man's like, I want my $200 off. So at this point, he turns to me. And he says, we better call your mother now because we need some dough. So I call my poor dear mom, and she's a little worried. She's like, well, where are you guys? I was getting a little worried. And I said, well, Ma, you ain't going to believe this, but we're over at the Jeep dealership, and the old man bought a new Jeep. She's like, what? I thought you went to watch the Yankee game and have a couple beers at the George Inn. I said, well, we did. We did that. We absolutely did do that. But now the old man's buying a Jeep and we need money. So my poor mother. So she gets the account information, and then we put her on the phone with the young man. And obviously it's late on a Saturday. So the deal has to get done on Monday. And she tells the old man what credit card to put a deposit and all that stuff. And and the old man's trying to justify it. He says, I sunk the basket. I got $200 off. I think it's a $38,000 vehicle, and the old man got $200 off. But so when we got home, we got a little earful from dear mom. I think she blasted me too for not keeping the old man under wraps. But hey, he worked hard all those years. And my mother wasn't begrudging him the Jeep. She was just like, she should have given me a little advance warning of what's going on. But she realized it was one of the good times. And he was with his son, watching a ball game and just doing what guys do sometimes. And that's just a great memory of my father. And as disciplined and as regimented as he could be, he also could be spontaneous. He just went for it. And I think I do in my life sometimes. I just go for it. I'm not worried. People send me an email that they didn't like my book or they thought I'm ranting and raving about stupid stuff on a podcast. Doesn't bother me in the least. Everybody entitled to their own opinion. I'm having fun and I'm living life and I'm just going for it. I'm not going to keep the bat on my shoulder. And as long as I can, I think I'll continue to do that. And if I grow tired of something and I don't want to do it anymore, I'll change and shift gears and go do something else. And I think those lessons came from my dad. Don't stand there with your bat on your shoulder. Just go for it. So memories of the old man, Father's Day, all these wonderful things. And I appreciate being able to share them. And I hope that you can think of your fathers too and share memories. And I'm always sad when I hear about people, I don't talk to my father. I don't talk to my sister or whatever, and that does make me sad. Try to mend fences if you can. Certainly there's circumstances, but on Father's Day, I have nothing but fond memories. And I miss the old man every single day. But I take all those good lessons, and I take all those fun memories, and I write stories inspired by him, and I tell old man stories. And in a roundabout way, or a direct way, I guess in a direct way, I am honoring him, not just on Father's Day. So thanks, Dad. I'd still like to talk about the New York Jets thing, but anyway, hey, happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there celebrating. And hey, please be kind. Please be very gentle. Be very tolerant. Remember, kindness is for free. Spread it around as much as you can. It can only make this world a better place. But hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy from Paterson, New Jersey. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great Father's Day for those fathers out there celebrating. Maybe don't have too many beers and go buy a Jeep without letting your other half know. Or maybe just go for it, right? Just go for it. Let me get the friends out of here and we can start this celebration. And thanks for tuning in. Hey, we will see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Here is to you. Here are a few toasts of beer to you. Here is to serving our country in the United States Army. Here is to that note you wrote and you left on my pillow after I graduated trade school. Here is to playing catch with me in the yard on a Sunday afternoon when you rather sip beer, put your feet up and relax. Here is to teaching me about the ways of the street, how to defend myself, and all about fronts for bookie joints. Here is to kicking my backside when I deserved it, and then teaching me where I went wrong. Here is to wiffle ball games in the backyard. Here is to the swimming pool you put up in that same backyard. Here is going to work every day for close to 52 years to work in sweaty and oily and greasy machine shops, in the cold, in the heat, in the middle of the night, and on Saturdays and Sundays. Here is to cutting the grass, trimming the hedges, going food shopping, fixing the old rotted plumbing pipes in that old house, and fixing the family car every weekend in the driveway. Here is to Christmas celebrations, birthdays, holidays, weddings, and to sharing love, laughter, and joy. Here is to speaking on the telephone for over 20 years, before, during, and after every New York Jets game. Here's to the secret old man code of 2 rings on my phone when the Jets scored a touchdown. Here's to coming to watch me play in hockey games, even if you didn't know anything about the game. Here is to those cool workout drills for a goaltender you came up with to help me sharpen foot speed and eye-hand coordination. Drills that you invented to keep me in shape, and we did together in the driveway every day in the summer after I signed my first semi-pro hockey contract. Here is to teaching me to win with poise and to lose humbly. Here is to helping me build radios and put up antennas and letting my Morse code transmissions interfere with your television during the New York Yankee games. Here is to teaching me plumbing, carpentry, electrical repairs, how to use tools, how to fix cars, how to run machines and fix just about anything on the face of this earth and other worlds too. Here is to teaching me respect, dedication, and to love honorably with all your heart and soul, and what it means to get off your backside every day and go off to work and take care of your family. Here is to sharing your love of music with me, especially your love of Frank Sinatra. Here is to teaching me that the world doesn't owe you anything and that you have to earn everything you gain in life. Here is to sharing our first beer together. Here is to sharing our last beer together. I sure do miss those phone calls and rings during New York Jets games. How I wish I could hear your voice just one more time. How I miss you, Dad. Even for a writer, there are no words to capture that emotion. Here is to being our Father.